All right, welcome to Peeps Creek, the cafe where we serve you delightful, slightly intense, but definitely worthwhile conversations. A podcast focused on bringing people together by drinking, listening, and conversing. So grab your favorite drink and let's see what's on today's menu. All right, people, welcome to Peeps Creek, the cafe. You know, here at the cafe, we always have a conversation centered around the drink, and today I am drinking on bourbon. Boom. And I am drinking on some H2O. Now, before I move to the guests, I want to let you all know that I'm wearing the same outfit from episode 67. That's because we are recording 2 in 1 day, and I didn't feel like changing. All right, so I am joined in the cafe by Denise. Say hello, Denise.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, and what are you drinking on over there?
Since we're still on the same day as the other episode, I still have strawberry juice.
All right, strawberry juice.
Weird,
Is
I
it
know.
is it Sunny Delight, that cheap stuff, or what kind of juice? Is
I
it Minute
don't
Maid
know.
or Simply Orange? Because that's
No,
the
Simply
good
Orange. The only one I get Simply Orange is just the orange flavor.
stuff. Okay,
I honestly don't know.
sounds a little
It's
good.
a
All
carton.
right. Ooh, carton. Ooh, that's like box wine. All right. So you are on episode 68. Episode 68 is road rage, shooting, or stand your ground. Accused, guilty, or innocent. That is season 2, episode 4 of the thinking. What is it called?
Accused, guilty, or
Series.
innocent.
All right. Okay. So we start off here in Broward County, Florida on
Mhm.
August 24th, 2019. This episode opens with a woman calling 911. She is kind of frantic. She's saying that, hurry, he just got shot. He just shot someone. And she gave the address. And then the operator was like, ma'am, would you stop yelling?
I'm like, what is, I mean, I guess you would have to work as a 911 operator to know the type of
Oh,
calls they get,
she
but
just saw a man get shot. And the lady was like, ma'am, stop yelling, okay? Because I'm about to go on my lunch break.
But have you watched their true show, the reality TV show in Oxygen?
Who? The 911 people?
Yes.
No, I haven't watched it. Is it good?
You have to yes, it's I like it. They're on their second season now. But you have to watch it because there's a supervisor and I sit there sometimes and I'm like, "How are you a supervisor again?" Because the way she be answering the calls, I'm like,
Uh,
but they be doing that. They be like, "Ma'am, stop yelling. Ma'am, I need the details." And I'm like,
Well, because maybe a part of it is like we need to take control of the situation. And so
I
we
get
need
it.
to try to get what we need so we can get you the help.
Okay. I get it, but still.
I mean, but if that was me, I'd probably cuss her out. Like,
I
bitch,
know
you
the way it
stop
came
yelling.
out. The way it
Use
came
my
out was
loc
like,
use my location. But yes. But anyhow, so and then the lady said, the operator asked, you do you know how many times he shot or how many shots were fired? She said she heard 2 to 3 shots on a crowded highway. And
Mhm.
she said that the guy was on the motorcycle, yelled at the guy, and the guy shot him. And then it opens up to a witness that comes on. The witness says the man in the truck was going freaking nuts. But the accused, which is the guy in the truck, said and then he came on and he said, nothing like this have ever happened to me, anything like this. And, I don't believe that this could, if I thought about it, and I just don't think it could have happened any other way. And the accused in this case is Stephen Tripp. All right. So we pan out of that and then we move to the lawyer. But before we get there, Mr. Tripp is accused of attempted murder in the first degree, and he is looking at life in prison. All right. You want to take us to what's next?
Yes. So then starts the lawyer, Mr. Larry McMillan. And
Mhm.
so he starts giving a account of what happened. Mr. Tripp was out driving and he finds himself in a violent driving exchange between motorcyclists and himself. They were trying to, I can't say that word, corral
Mm-hmm.
or cut him
Corral.
off.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. And so Mr. Tripp was trying to elude or evade them. They eventually come to a stop at Hallandale Beach Boulevard, Dixie Highway. Those of you in Florida may know. And so the female motorcyclist, she starts screaming at Mr. Tripp and starts confronting him from the passenger side of his car, while a male motorcyclist strikes him from the driver's side door. So they claim that Mr. Tripp instinctively fired 2 shots. The bullet struck the victim on the driver's side, which resulted in severe injury and permanent disability.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. So one correction though, it didn't. The motorcyclist on the passenger, excuse me, on the driver's side of the truck didn't strike the accused. The allegation was is that he banged on the door and then opened it and then he shot. Right. So
Right.
Mr. Tripp was never hit. Now,
Physically, yeah.
physically. So we need to set this up now. Remind you, we have motorcyclists, and this kind of reminds me of that situation. It was a couple of years ago in New Jersey. Do you remember that when there were motorcyclists? There was like the bike week. It was in New Jersey, or maybe it was Florida. It was bike week, and the motorcyclists were riding. You know, they ride in their formation. I guess the guy was impeding on their ability to do that, and then ultimately he ran over some of the motorcyclists and killed some of them, but I think he got off as well. Do you not remember that? That was a couple of years ago. That
No,
was
I
in New
don't.
Jersey, I think. So that happened. But this kind of reminds me of that particular scenario because we have motorcyclists, and so I ride a motorcycle, and I would tell you that as a motorcyclist, you are always looking. You're not riding for yourself. You're always riding for other people, right? And I have been personally in a situation where I have been cut off by like a semi truck, and instinctively I get so very frustrated because I'm like, bruh, you literally fucking see me here on this motorcycle, and instead of obeying traffic and being, kind, and just use that word, you want to be aggressive and potentially put my life in danger just so you can fucking get over one lane when you're still going the same distance and you don't need to get over, right? So I say all that to say, as a motorcyclist, it's always difficult because you are never just riding for yourself. You are always riding for everyone else around you, which makes your job
Agree.
that much difficult. But putting that aside, this particular situation involved a busy highway. It wasn't like it was empty according to everyone that was there. There were quite a few motorcyclists. Some were in a group together. Some were just riding because typically when you are out, nice day, motorcycles are there. It's the common courtesy or the common camaraderie between motorcyclists that you can get information as long as you know how to maintain the formation and things of that nature. Now,
Right.
some people think that the formation is to show off, but in reality, a lot of times the formation is for a safety mechanism because when you have that formation, you form enough space as if you are a vehicle. And so, therefore, it's less likely that other vehicles will come in to create a situation where you, as the motorcyclist, would be harmed, right? So, it's not just trying to show off and we are in formation, look at us. It's mainly a safety mechanism for the motorcyclists in that particular group. All right. So Mr. Tripp though was in like a F-350 or F-150. It was a large truck, right? Pickup truck.
Yeah.
And so what Denise was indicated is that there was a female motorcyclist who was riding on the passenger side of Mr. Tripp, and for whatever reason, she was frustrated because the allegations is from the motorcyclist is that Mr. Tripp was driving erratically. And so it was as if he cut them off. And so she was pissed off with that. And so the natural reaction was that she was yelling at him. And then apparently they came to a stop. And then, according to Mr. Tripp, the male, who happens to be the husband of the female, came over to the left side of the driver's side. And according to Mr. Tripp, now we don't have no definitive evidence of this, he opened the door, and so instinctively he took his pistol and shot twice. Is that accurate?
Sure.
I mean, is that how they presented it?
Yeah, that's definitely how they presented it.
All right. And one thing that the lawyer said was that it was like what did he say? Like a dance. Didn't he say something like that
Yeah,
between the
he said like a
motorcyclist?
dance. Yep.
Yeah, motorcyclist and Mr. Tripp. So
I
ultimately,
kind
Mr.
of
Tripp.
like this lawyer. I don't know
I know
why.
you sent me a text message saying that about. I mean,
I think it was because every time he would say something, it was what I was thinking. And I was like, "You're right." Like that's exactly what I was just thinking. And it to me it felt like yes, he was defending Mr. Tripp, but he was seeing it from both sides. Okay, so if I present it this way, that's going to hurt me because I can't prove that. So whereas other episodes, other lawyers haven't been, I don't know, like that. I don't know.
okay. And so ultimately, Mr. Tripp is out on bail, $150,000 bail. And the individual whom he shot did not die. So that's why it's attempted murder in the first degree. And according to the lawyer, it was the male passenger who appeared to be the aggressor. And so the defense in this case is the stand your ground defense,
Mhm.
which basically, as the lawyer articulated, says that a person can use deadly force if they think their life is in peril. Okay.
Right.
So
And
is
we're very
okay.
familiar with the stand your ground. Isn't that the same thing Zimmerman
Yes, that
got
fucking
away with?
idiot. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And a lot of these stand your ground laws, a lot of people, I don't know. My perspective on this, and you can call me what you want. I think they need to all be abolished. But the reality is that there was an advocacy group that essentially created. They wrote the law, and so what will happen is that this conservative group that was focusing on Second Amendment rights, right? They wrote the law up and then they, kind of passed them to these different Republican senators and things of that nature from state legislatures. And so essentially, the state legislature just passed them without making modifications to them. And so, in a lot of these states, that's how they actually became law. And so, yes, it's the stand your ground law. And part of the problem with it, as we saw in the Zimmerman case, is that you can be the aggressor and then
Mhm.
come back, right? And then claim that you felt that you were in peril. And so therefore you had to use deadly force. It's a little different from self-defense, right? For
Right.
self-defense, typically, you cannot be the aggressor in most states as it relates to self-defense. Because if you are the aggressor by nature, then you're the one who started it. So there's nothing that you need to defend yourself from. Right.
Right.
And part of the problem with the Zimmerman case is that he was initiated by following Trayvon. He approached him, he got his ass beat. And because he got his
Mhm.
ass beat, then he felt like he just needed to use his gun. And so therefore he was able to get off on the stand your ground law. So for those of you who listen, um I don't pretend like I agree with the law because I don't think it's bullshit. So yeah, so I'm coming from a biased perspective. So you want to talk a little bit about what he said he's been going through for the last 2 years, the fact he can't get a job.
Well, he was he had his own construction company, but it was with buildings, like with companies, and he would have to go out of town to do some bidding. But due to the case, he can leave the state of Florida, so that has cost them plenty of jobs. And eventually, he had like a team of 12 under him, but because he can't get jobs, he had to let them go. So now he basically has no job, going into his savings is going down, and so he's waiting for this case to be done and
Yeah.
his name to be cleared.
So when he said that, no offense, but I'm like, bro, why couldn't you just have someone else like your foreman or like an executive go out there
Be the one
and
to go out.
do it?
When he said that, I was like, I want to hear from those people
12
that are
people.
under him. Right. I want to hear from them to see what kind of boss was he? What was his attitude? How did he
Right.
react in certain
Maybe he felt like they
situations?
weren't good enough to do it or figure it out or something. Like I'm like, bro, why couldn't you can still be at home making money. You could just have someone else go out there and trust your staff to do what they need to do.
Exactly.
Like
Ugh.
I'm like, that was kind of I felt like that was a
He
sympathy
wanted
pitch.
sympathy. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So that didn't bother me at all. And I'm like, bro, there are so many people. First of all, you out. There are so many people in jail who actually are innocent in jail, but because they don't have the money for bail, they can't be out like you are. But I'm like, okay, whatever. Uh,
I know because that was like $150,000 bond. I know it's a percentage though, right?
well, w- did it say bond or bail? Did he? Because they're.
Bond,
Oh yeah,
BOND.
so it's like a percentage of it. Yeah,
Still, sorry, 150,000. Let's say it's a 10%. That's still 15,000, right?
yeah. I mean, again, he had the money to do it.
I would be right in
Period.
jail, sir. I don't have money for bond. I might have to stay here until.
That's what I'm saying. There are so many people in jail who can't mount a decent defense because they're in jail, right?
Yeah.
And they are at the whim of the jail of when their lawyer can meet with them, blah, blah, blah. They only
Mhm.
have limited time in which they can take phone calls to talk to their legal defense. So, I mean, I get it, but that didn't sway me one
It didn't
way
do anything
or
for me either.
the other. Okay. Because when he wrote that, I was like, can't get a job. I was like, why? The fuck?
Right, and then he started saying it, and I had 12 people under me, and I had to let them go because I
I was like,
couldn't go
why
out
did
of state. And I was
I
like,
mean, you could have
well, I
went to
want to talk to
Walmart.
these 12 people.
Yeah.
And then he talking
Anyway,
about he's fixing the house. And I'm
exactly.
like, I don't see nothing fixed here, sir. Because he was cutting, looked like he was about to do tinted windows in the deck thing, but nothing happened with the paper. He cut the paper and
Are
left it
you
there.
are you are you assuming, ma'am, that maybe he didn't get the job because he wasn't that great of a contractor?
I'm just saying
Wow. Wow. The man said he couldn't get a job because he could not leave the state because of the restrictions
to
that
do
this
his
case had him
bidding.
on.
But I'm pretty
All
sure
right.
you were still doing jobs when that happened. You had some
Hello.
jobs already working. Come on, sir.
Hello. All right. So then the lawyer talks to Stephen, but he also talks about the victim statement. And the victim statement was that Stephen was driving erratically, weaving in and out of traffic, and he came within 6 inches of striking his wife's motorcycle, which
Mhm.
I guess perpetuated him coming to the side and attempted to have a conversation with him. Now, whether he was angry or not, that's something that was
Debatable.
contested, right? Now, when the thing that irritated me about this is that when he asked him, the lawyer asked Stephen, did that happen? Were you driving erratically, weaving in and out of traffic? And did you come within 6 inches of striking the wife? He didn't say no. Stephen said, oh, I
I
don't
don't
recall
remember.
that. Yeah. And you're like, bruh, you don't recall that? But then you can go and give all these details about when the motorcycle went into which lane in front
Mhm.
of you, then when the other one came, which lane you swerved into in order to avoid the motorcycle. Then you could tell me when exactly what time of the day you went to the stop sign, but you don't remember whether or not you were weaving in and out of traffic.
And he remembers for how long they chased them because when the
Exactly.
lawyer asked him that, he said, "I don't remember. I may have done it, but the victims were chasing my truck for over a mile."
Over the
So you remember that they chased you for over a mile, but you couldn't remember if you were exactly doing what the man said. Come on, sir.
And mind you, they're on motorcycles, bro. You in the F-350, F-150. You didn't say they had a gun or they waved anything at
Mm-mm.
you or was throwing anything at you. I'm like, bro, come on now. Now you sound like some bullshit. But
Yeah,
anyhow,
throughout the entire episode, it sounded like he just wanted sympathy.
I know. Yeah, yeah, kind of. He really rubbed me. This episode rubbed me the wrong way. A, because it has to stand your ground. B, it's the typical person who thinks they're entitled to do whatever they want when they want,
Hmm.
and he exuded that. Whether it was intentionally or unintentionally, that's just what he gave me, and I only can go by what he gave me. And so then what he says, he remember them chasing him, the weaving in and out, blah blah blah, la la la, and then he says he feels that he had when the guy came to his side, his door, he felt that there was a full on attack on him, right, with the motorcyclist behind him, and so he reached for his pistol. He said he heard a bang on his left side. He turned around, the door swung open, and he turned and he shot.
Right.
And he's and and so when he's giving this story, then he does this with his hands, shaking his hands. It's like it gets so intense. I can't talk about it. Then he started rubbing his face, and then rubbing his eyes. And then I text Denise. I was like, mm, I ain't see any crying. Did you? What did you say?
He was trying to rub his face just so his because when you rub your face, it irritates like your eyes. So he was just trying to rub
Mm,
his face so it could irritate his eyes so he could cry, but no tears
no,
came out.
you said it looked like he was trying to get a mosquito away.
Oh no, I said he got bit by a mosquito. Because it looked like he was just itching, like he was just scratching.
Oh my
Like,
god. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I feel bad
Um,
talking about the man, but
yeah, whatever. Okay. Okay. So now part of his story, I guess we can go to the story before we talk about kind of what the defense was looking at in evidence and things of that nature. So apparently, from his perspective, here's where I guess, not I guess, this is sympathetic. So at the time that he was charged, sometime thereafter, he became aware that he developed some kind of cancer.
Mhm.
And so the doctors told him that it was inoperable and then that he had less than 12 months from
Mhm.
that diagnosis, right? And so from his perspective, what he says is that at this particular point, this is about clearing his name. He wants to die knowing that his name is cleared and that he's not accused of attempted murder or convicted of attempted murder. And so one of the things that the lawyer takes on is that he tells the lawyer essentially that I want you to do everything that you can to ensure that you clear my name. And so the lawyer takes that burden on and feels that he's obligated to honor and respect that particular request. So yeah.
Yep.
I remember the first time I saw this, his sister came down, but I don't remember looking at it. Was she on this
Yeah, she
episode
came
here?
down from Atlanta. Uh-huh. She came
Oh,
down
I
from
didn't.
Atlanta.
I think I was doing something else behind the scenes because I
Yeah.
saw the episode before and it kind of irritated me, so I didn't really take notes. And then when I was taking notes for it, I kind of skipped past that. All right. All right.
Yeah.
So you want to talk a little bit about the defense reviewing some of the evidence that was available to them?
So they reviewed, well, first they were looking at the witnesses at the scene, and like you mentioned at the beginning, there was a gentleman that was also riding a motorcycle. He was not part of the crew of the gentleman that got injured, or the wife that had the incident with Mr. Tripp, but he had joined them because he was also traveling, and he's the one that mentions that Mr. Tripp was just, what was it? He was effing nuts, and that
Right.
he was basically pointing that gun to whoever got close to his truck. So they reviewed that body cam video. They also review a body cam video of Samantha Salas, which claims that she did see Mr. Tripp shoot the victim twice. And apparently, what she saw was the victim approaches the car, he gets shot in the arm, falls on the ground, and then Mr. Tripp fires the second shot while the person is on the ground. And so as they're going through these videos, they, start looking for information on those witnesses. And it seems like the vehicle where Samantha was in was actually 4 cars behind the truck and behind the motorcyclist. And they technically didn't make it because remember, they were at a stop sign. So her vehicle that she was riding with her husband didn't technically make a stop until 2 seconds after Mr. Tripp had already shot the gentleman. So they're trying to discredit that witness.
Right. And then remember, they also see the video from the body cam of the witness Peter Pelrito, who was riding on a motorcycle. He was riding on a motorcycle, but he was not with that group.
Right. That's
And
the one
so
that you mentioned at the beginning.
yeah, and so when they the defense is viewing the body cam, they see his statement to the police, and so the biker says, "Look, I'm not part of this group," but he says that the biker got out and yelled at Stephen, and then Stephen turned around and shot him, right? And he
Right.
says that the witness, walked up to Stephen, the truck, and then Stephen pointed his gun at him, and the guy was like, "Bruh, I'm not with them. I'm just trying to help out." And so what he says is the guy with the gun was fucking nuts. He seemed that he was ready to
Mhm.
blast anyone. And
Anyone.
yeah, and so when the defense lawyers heard that, what they said was, "Oh, that's a problem," because they make it seem as if he's just wild, and the guy seemed very convinced. The guy being the witness
Hmm.
seems very convinced about what he saw and his interpretation of the events at that particular time.
Yep.
Right. All right. And then one of the things that Samantha indicates, I think you said this, but the point that the point that the lawyers emphasized that was harmful for their particular case is that Samantha says that he shot him, but then the man fell, and so then he came back out, he Ben Steven, and shot him again. And so
Mhm.
that made it appear that this wasn't about stand your ground, but these were two deliberate shots aimed at this particular individuals. And I think the lawyers actually used the term execution style, that it was
Right.
attempt for execution, yeah, which was going to be an issue for that particular case if that testimony were to come out.
Mhm.
All right. And then sometime thereafter, the lawyers receive, and we don't get to see this, which I thought would have been beneficial for the episode, but whatever. They get photos of the injuries of the actual victim,
Oh yeah.
and then the lawyer says that literally there's just a stump where the left leg used to be because of the shot, and then part of his right foot is amputated because apparently when the bullet entered him, it ricocheted and impacted
Yeah.
other organs and caused gangrene, which required them to then amputate part of the right foot as well. So this
Mhm.
guy appeared to be someone who's very interested in motorcycles, can no longer enjoy that aspect of
Writing.
riding a motorcycle. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then you we talked a little bit about that, but what is the defense strategy? What did you understand the defense strategy to be with respect to how to attack this? We know that we have the witnesses. We have we have the Samantha Salas. There is some CCTV footage that's shown, and then yeah. So what did you understand the defense strategy to be?
Credibility.
Yeah. So, what the defense what the defense indicated was that this is a case that turns on the credibility of the witness. If you believe any of the witnesses, then therefore the stand your ground defense is out. If you believe Stephen, then the stand your ground defense stands. Now, remember in episode 66 when we talked about I forgot his name. What was his name? The one who was trying to protect the girl, but she really didn't need no protection.
Wasn't it Brian?
Yeah, Brian. Remember when we talked about that, we talked about Brian's past situation where he had the home invasion.
Mhm.
And so in this particular case, we have similar evidence that unfolds as it relates
Yes.
to the defendant, Stephen. And was that
In 1994, he was a victim of armed robbery. He was with his ex-wife at a gas station, had gone inside, came outside. A man came from behind the car, held him at gunpoint. Apparently, there was another guy as well. And they shot at him, and he got hit twice.
right? But I thought it was interesting. One thing that he told in his story was that when the guy came behind him,
He shot at him.
right, he reached down into his own pocket and just blindly and just blindly shot
That's
him
exactly what he did. Blindly shot him.
over the right shoulder, right? So it's evident that this is a guy who carries his gun for whatever
Yep.
reason, right? It's evident that this is a guy who's not afraid to use the gun, right?
Nope.
And so part of the strategy from the defense is if we can link these things in the sense of yes, they happen years apart, but they're so similar in nature that because this happened to him in 1994, you have to then place your perspective in mind of him in 2019 when he is attacked similarly. It may not have been a gun put beside his head, but he has two individuals coming to his side on motorcycles without any weapons, but
Mhm.
who is presenting a threat to him. And so his natural reaction is to fight rather than flight, right? Or
That's not
flight
even
or fight.
fighting.
I'm just saying that's
That's to me, fighting would be like he sees the man coming in. Oh, okay, you you want to fight? Let's go ahead and fight it. But to me, that's not even fighting. That's just being a coward. But that's just my opinion.
all right. So yeah, so they want to bring that into the trial as well. So now we didn't talk about the CCTV footage, but apparently there was like a Walgreens or a CVS or some store. Their CCTV actually captured some of the events as they unfolded, and that included the point of time where the victim's motorcycle stopped and he got off and went to the door. Now, the CCTV footage does show that the door was open in some form or fashion, but we don't get to see who did it, right? We don't see if it was yanked open by the victim or if it was yanked over by the defendant who then came out and shot. But what we do see, I think the video footage shows, is that when the victim goes to the door and the door opens, we immediately see the victim fall. because
Right.
felt like the shot happened and he fell. Right? Did you see
I,
that, or
I
was that
agree. No,
okay?
I agree. That's exactly what I saw. To me, it looked like the man approached them and did hit the like he did hit the truck, but to
Hmm.
me it looked like Steven opened the door like to scare him, like to just but
Yeah,
then I started thinking he opened the door to shoot at him and then immediately closed it. So
yeah,
that's what it looked to me.
yeah. And I know the lawyers felt like it was evidence substantiating the fact that it was the victim who yanked over the door, but I don't think it necessarily showed that. I think that
No.
that evidence was inconclusive in that particular stance. We do know the door opened. What we don't know is who opened it. Right
He
now, they
reminded
do.
me of who was our girl, the attorney, the remember that episode that she did the reenactment and she's like, "That's it.
That's it.
That's
That's
it."
it. That's it, Woody. That's
I
it.
forgot her name.
Brandis.
Brandis. Yep, yep. That's what it
Uh,
reminded me of.
That's
Like,
it. That's
sir.
it, Woody. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they do a reenactment, and they try to have them reenacted. And so basically, they go through the stance of if it is the defendant who opens the door, he made it seem like he really didn't open the door, or he couldn't open
Right.
up that
Like,
fast. Yeah, and
and
then
the lawyer was like, no,
yeah,
no,
that it
that
couldn't
couldn't
happen
have
that way.
happened that
Then
way.
it must have been the victim who yanked it. I'm like, bro, come on now, y'all just making this bullshit
You
up.
just made it
Like,
up, right? Like you just made it so it could seem that it's supporting your case.
yeah. So anyhow, that's kind of where we are. And so ultimately we go through this process and the lawyer decides to file a stand your ground defense motion, right? And the motion is to say that Stephen is immune from prosecution under the stand your ground statute. All right. You want to talk a little bit
But
about that?
he also mentioned that he was going to add to that his condition. Didn't he say that, or did I just imagine that?
Wait, he said what?
Didn't he say that he was going to file that, but that he was also going to add his medical condition?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I feel like I heard that, and I think that's why
What
I'm
I
so upset with the outcome.
no, what I heard him say is if he does not win this motion after I file it, he's not going to be here in order to go to trial. Is what I heard.
No, when he was saying that he was going to file the motion for whatever immunity and
Hmm.
dismissal, I think he said that he was also going to add his condition,
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to that.
which
Maybe
is
he
why
did.
it upset me the outcome because to me it felt like they took the condition into consideration rather than the facts. Well, like you mentioned, he files this and so they meet with the judge so
Yep,
the
they have.
judge can consider it.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
they have a 3-day trial, and the trial is as if they're going to trial, but instead of there being a jury, it's all to the judge. And the point is for the judge to hear the evidence to determine whether or not immunity exists. And immunity means that you cannot bring a case against me because legally a case can't be brought against me, right? So
Right.
you think about that. A lot of times people think about immunity from the sense of there are foreign diplomats, for instance, foreign diplomats enjoy the concept of immunity, right? And so, in some regards, let's say hypothetically speaking, that a foreign diplomat is here in the United States and hits someone and kills them, right? Because they are a foreign diplomat, the immunity precludes the prosecution of that individual, right? So that's kind of what it is. It basically says that I have a cloak over me that you can't penetrate, and that no penetration is that you can't bring any case against me. Okay. All right. Sorry. Now,
Ain't that the
so
same like if I know you did something and I talk about it, I can get immunity and not get charged?
not the same thing because that is a prosecutorial discretion. So that means that if I'm a prosecutor and I feel like the real person who I really want to get, that's who I want. I don't want you, right? Let's take it out of a murder. Let's take it into drugs, right?
Mhm.
Let's say that I sold drugs, but you are really the big drug dealer, like you the head honcho.
Oh, no, 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 no,
And
the other
no, no,
way.
no. Let
You're
me
the
finish.
okay.
No, no, no. You are
No, because
okay.
I know that they're not
And
gonna give
so
me no
then,
immunity. Imma
and
be
then no, no,
effed.
and then so then they say, look. you're a small drug dealer. It's illegal. But listen, I don't really want to. I want her because right, she's bringing this. She's flooding our our streets with this shit. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you agree to testify
I'll
on
give you
on
immunity.
the state's behalf, I will give you immunity. Right? Yes. So that's the prosecution. Again, this goes back to the point. You need to know who you voting into these positions because they have a lot of power. Yes. So that's what that is. So it's almost the same thing, but just from a different perspective. It's
It's
not the
basically what I
judge who has to.
said, but you
No,
just put
because you
me, you just put me as the big person when I was trying to put you as the big person. I mean,
no, it's
come
not the
on
same
now.
thing because the difference truly is in this instance when you are when you first of all for foreign immunity is solely different. There are statutes for that, right?
Yeah.
That's just statute. From the judge's perspective, it's still a trial, right? We're doing a trial on the merits to determine whether or not you can satisfy the elements and conditions of immunity. From the prosecutorial standpoint, remember there isn't a trial. It's just me as the prosecutor saying, "Look, you have valuable
Mm,
information, and I'm going to reward you for that valuable information. So I'm not going to prosecute you." So
got you.
yes, the end result is the same, but the mannerism in which you get to all three are different.
Yes, sir.
Damn, I'm educated. Woo! Woo! All right, go ahead. Sorry. All right. So we go to a 3-day trial as if you are there. They bring in the witnesses. There's Samantha Salas. We don't get to see Peter, which I'm very annoyed by that they didn't call, or maybe we just didn't
Because
see him.
Peter was not going to help.
Yeah, but the prosecution should have brought Peter.
The prosecution felt that with Samantha, they were good.
Anyway, they should have brought Peter because
They
what
should have bought him.
what that brought is it showed at that time that excited utterance from the defendant in regards to him waving wildly, right, his gun as if he's about to kill anyone or shoot anyone. And remember that goes to the whole prosecution's
Mm.
cross examination
I
of the
agree.
defendant.
I agree
Like
with you. They should have,
they should have brought him.
because they discredited Samantha in that trial. So
I mean, I don't know if they technically discredit her. I think maybe it caused a shadow of doubt, but
yeah,
everyone heard 2 shots. We saw on the CTV video the man immediately went down. We also
right.
saw on the CCTV video after he went down that door opened again.
But you're forgetting something, sir. The CCTV was not going to be introduced into evidence because it was not going to help them because you couldn't tell who was opening that door. So what you're talking about now is based on what you know because you've watched the episodes.
No, but the prosecution could have brought that in because that substantiates that is consistent with the elements and the events as unfolded and told by Samantha. Samantha says that the guy went to the door, right, and yelled, right? We have 2 people who say that the motorcyclist went to the
Mhm.
door and yelled.
Mhm.
The door opened, he shot, then they said he went immediately to the floor and then there was another shot. That
And Samantha,
CCTV Samantha. That's what she said.
Samantha, I'm acting like you're Samantha, and you're telling me that your vehicle was there when you saw this.
Yes, I saw it.
Okay. And here I have evidence that shows that your vehicle did not do a stop until that man had already been shot once.
Okay. And here's my response to you. Okay.
No, no, no.
No, let
Respond
me
to me like
finish.
Samantha did.
I am. That very well may be true, but that doesn't mean that he didn't open the door and shoot him again while he was on the
That's not
ground.
what she said.
Well, that's what she should have said because that was her story. She should have said her story and stuck to it. I don't care
She
what time
said,
I got there.
because
She
he
saw
asked
him
her,
get shot. He fell to the ground. That door opened again. She shot him while he was on the ground. I'm saying my story. I'm sticking to it. That's what I saw. And ain't
she
nothing
kind
you
of,
gonna say that's gonna get me from that.
she kind of said, no, that's what I saw. But still, when he asked her, how can you explain that? She's like, I don't know, but I saw it. That's what I saw. But
Yes,
still,
and here's the other thing, sir. I have never seen anyone get shot in my life. I definitely never seen anyone get shot in the middle of the daylight on a crowded highway. I didn't expect to be. I was expecting to go to the beach to enjoy time with my husband, not to see someone get shot and murdered, almost a murder in front of me. So
Hmm.
maybe I don't have the exact times down, sir. But what I can tell you is that I saw the man go down, I saw the door open, I heard another shot, and so I'm telling you, and that's why I called and said there was 2 to 3 shots.
By the way, that's not what she said, but yes, that's what she should have said.
I mean, bruh, like
Yeah.
in
But
the
in a way,
CC.
like, if I was the jury, if they really would have gone to the jury, I probably would have been like, Samantha, did you really see it? Because him introducing that, showing that her car wasn't even there when it actually happened, leads, because then he told her, weren't you consoling the victim's wife? And so she even mentions her by name, which to me as a jury, I would have been like, how do you know her? Because you're calling her by her first name, not even her last name. Like you literally called
Yes,
her by the first name.
but she was actually trying to be a good Samaritan
And
and
I get
obviously
that.
trying to calm this girl down. And so naturally, we don't know what her background is, but it looked like she might be a nurse. Okay. she
Oh
gave
my
me
God. Now
she gave me
he's
she
giving
gave me
these people titles.
she gave me nurse vibes, right? But it definitely could have been that was her way of, I'm with you. I know this is traumatic. What is your name? Let's talk through this. You're gonna be okay.
But we
So,
don't know this.
I
This
mean,
was
but
not presented to us. I'm going by what the show is giving me as facts. So she's already mentioning this lady by first name. And so he tells her, the lawyer is like, do you think that maybe these facts that you're mentioning, you could have just gotten from all these stories that you've heard, at the incident or at the accident? And that's when she said,
she
no.
said no.
Yeah,
And
she said
here's what I would have
no.
said. And here's what I would have said. Absolutely not. I know what I saw. I have never experienced a situation like this. This is a situation that I would never forget. And you know what? I don't even remember his name. What's his name? David. What's his name? Mr. McMillan. You know what, Mr. McMillan?
Larry.
I go to sleep at night envisioning these shots, thinking that it's going to be me. So yes, I do know what I saw, and
Again,
there's
this is not what
nothing
she
you're
said,
going to say
people.
that's going to move me off of this. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
stick
I'm just
with it.
saying
Stick
that
with your story, people.
his what's the word? His
Cross
plan was
examination.
to discredit their
Yeah, he did his
credibility, and
job.
with her, he did. Just with her, he did. Because
Okay,
I
so
didn't
what
feel
about the
he did it.
victim?
Okay, so okay,
He
so
calls
so
the
talk
victim.
about what he did.
So the victim is called. The
Hmm.
victim gives his side of the story. He says, the prosecution asks her questions, blah, blah, blah. So on cross examination, the first thing he asks him is, well, aren't you a convicted felon?
Yes.
Now, that's relevant because
Right.
the
Right.
way the law goes is that if you have a felony, a certain type of felony, you can bring that in because that discredits you automatically because you don't follow the law, right?
Right.
And so he said, "Well, how many do you have?" And the guy was like, "I think 3, if I remember." He
Three.
was like, "Well, isn't it 4?"
He said it could
And
have been
so
four.
it could have been 4. And so then he asked him, "Were you angry because you said that he was getting close to your wife when you went up to that door? Were you angry?" And the guy, now I didn't believe the guy on this part, but the victim was like, "No, I wasn't angry. I was concerned." And I'm like,
Hmm.
"No, if that was me, I would have said to him, yes, I was very angry. I was angry because this guy was riding erratically, and we are on motorcycles. He's in an F350, which
He
can
almost hit my
pummel us
wife.
exactly. And he almost hit my wife. That is the most important person in my
Hmm.
life at this particular time. So, yes, I was angry. I was going to that car so I could ask him and confront him about his improper driving. So, yes, I was angry. But what I didn't have was any kind of weapon. What I didn't do is threaten him. What I didn't do is break his window. The
Right.
fuck?
Right. And I agree. I agree that he should have said, "Yes, I was angry." Because yeah,
Yeah.
you may have been concerned because he almost hit her, but you were angry because that happened too. But to me, if again, I'm putting myself as part of the jury, I still would not have felt like he was lying because the fact that he admitted to being a felon and having
I
those
mean, but he had
felon
no choice.
charges, but still, to me, I could have said, I don't know. I don't
Yeah, but
know.
he's not going to do that. Why would you do that when you know?
You
Obviously,
don't know what he was going to do or not.
he asked the question because he know that was coming in, and the prosecution. the prosecutor already knew that was coming, and they already prepped him on that. So there was no reason for him to lie. So the fact that he admitted to being a felon, that doesn't sway me one way or the other. The fact that he is
But he
a
also
felon,
admitted to not following the to what is it excessively? What is it the thing that he
he
asked
was
them?
racing on the freeway.
Racing, racing. So to me, the fact that he's admitting to all this, the fact that he said concern over angry, didn't make much of a difference to me.
But you know why the racing on the freeway matters? If you're racing on the freeway, that means that you are being reckless and careless about other individuals around you.
But he said
And
he's
so
done it.
let me tell you why that's important for the defense. It's important for the
Okay.
defense because
Oh
that
no,
indicates
obviously
that,
it is.
right, it indicates that this guy there's no reason that he was concerned because he's used to this. This is what he does, right? He
Right.
races, he is a vigilante in the sense of he just does whatever he want in the streets, disregarding the speed limits and things of that nature. So this situation was not a situation where he was concerned. He was actually trying to
Right.
do harm to my client,
And
essentially.
him admitting to that could also be he's the one who caused all this. He was probably the one that was racing with the wife. They were
Exactly.
probably the ones weaving in and out of,
Exactly.
traffic, etc. But
Exactly.
still, to me, even with everything that was presented, I still don't agree with the outcome.
Okay, so you keep saying that 'cause you said that like 18 times. What was the outcome,
Yes.
ma'am?
So they granted the immunity and the dismissal.
The
So
dismissal.
he's free to go.
He was free to go, but he passed away,
Hmm.
I think January 31st, 2022, something like that.
2022.
Yep,
Yeah.
so this year. Yep, he passed away. So he passed away with his good name with him,
Cleared.
cleared that he did not attempt to murder the victim. I never got the victim's name. Do you know what it
I
was?
did. I wrote it somewhere because his name was John Indelicato.
All right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is episode 68. Episode 68, road rage shooting or stand your ground. My point of view is that every state that has stand your ground should get the fuck out of here and remove those laws from the book. All right. So I am joined by Denise. Denise, you want to say anything to the people?
As always, it's been a pleasure.
I mean, is that
Thank
the
you for
only
having
line?
me.
Is that the only line you ever gonna do? All right. So
Until you
you
get mad and then boot me out of the show, it's always
well
a pleasure.
Well, maybe what you should do is maybe you should say something in Spanish or something. Anyway, you
Ha
can.
sido un placer.
What does that mean?
The same. It's a
The same.
pleasure.
All right. You can reach us on Facebook at Peeps Creek Cafe. I never got mad. You unfollowed me on
Sir,
Instagram. Moving on.
do I need to bring
You
my
can reach
child
us
in here?
on you can reach us on IG, Twitter, and Twitch at Peeps Creek. You can get us on YouTube at Peeps Creek. Peeps Creek Podcast. You can get us on the website www.peepscreek.com. You can get all of the videos, all of the audios, as well as all of the transcriptions. You can send us an email if you don't agree with us. Maybe you do agree with us. Maybe you think you can suggest something better that we can talk about how we discuss these cases. Perfectly fine. No harm, no foul. At cafe@peepscreek.com, and all of the links and everything else that you need to get to us here at cafe.peepscreek.com/links. All right. So until next time, make sure that you continue to drink, listen, and convert. Ooh, look at that. Peace and love.
Be nice with your comments because this is our opinion and we have a right to our opinion. So yes, leave us comments, but be nice, please. Be kind.
Listen,
I can't let go of that.
whether you look at it and have negative comments or good comments, they are comments. I invite them all. All right.
Yes, sure.
All right. All right. Well, peace out.